When a woman built her world out of elegance and control, she never imagined betrayal would come with her own last name. What would you do if someone forged your life and sold your home while smiling in your family photos? Type, "I'd fight back," in the comments if you'd stand your ground, because this is how one woman turned heartbreak into justice. The night smelled of sweet tea and baked mac and cheese. Lydia Parker laughed with her son Michael and his wife Nia, the kind of laughter that makes you forget grief ever existed. For a rare moment, Lydia wasn't the widow who rebuilt her life after losing a husband. She was just mom. Then her phone buzzed. Evelyn, her housekeeper, texted, "Mrs. Probably." "Parker, does anyone else have your keys?" Lydia frowned. "What?" Another text followed. "There's a moving truck at your door. A woman's inside. Says she's allowed to be there." The laughter died. The room froze. Lydia's fork hit the plate with a metallic clatter. "Get out of there," she told Evelyn. "Lock your car. Wait for the police." Within minutes, Lydia and Michael were in the car racing through quiet Atlanta streets. She didn't answer Nia's trembling, "Who would do this?" because deep down, one name was already whispering inside her skull. The cul-de-sac looked peaceful. Pumpkins on porches, sprinklers misting lawns, until the flashing blue lights cut through the calm. Her house, her sanctuary, invaded. A woman stood under the porch light holding a clipboard, smiling. "Perfect timing," she said. "We were just starting the inventory." Lydia's heart slammed. "Inventory? You authorized this," the woman replied sweetly, showing papers bearing Lydia's signature. "I did not." Lydia's voice trembled but didn't break. Through the doorway, she saw boxes labeled, "Dining Room," her dining room. A mover bumped into the umbrella stand her late husband bought on their honeymoon. The police turned to her. "Ma'am, is she supposed to be here?" "No," Lydia said, steady now. "She's not." And in that moment, as sirens flickered across her hydrangeas, Lydia felt her world tilt. This wasn't chaos. It was calculated. Someone who knew her schedule, her passwords, her trust. Someone close. Lydia had built her life with precision after her husband Charles died. She'd turned her wedding planning side hustle into L. Parker Events, a top Atlanta boutique firm. Every napkin folded, every flower placed, every hour accounted for. She believed discipline protected her from disaster. She was wrong. Her family looked perfect from the outside. Her sister Mona polished and polite. Her niece Jade, a glamorous influencer married to a flashy investor named Darren. Her son Michael, the hero EMT, and Nia, the peacekeeper teacher. But families have cracks invisible to the untrained eye. The first sign of trouble came weeks before the break-in. A strange email about a property appraisal for her address. Another confirming a title transfer. Lydia forwarded them to her attorney friend, Priya. The reply was instant and chilling. "Those aren't spam, Lyd. That's title fraud language. Keep everything." Lydia tried to brush it off until Jade's Instagram post appeared. Her niece stood in front of Lydia's stone gate, smiling into the camera. "Big life changes ahead," she chirped. The caption, "New chapter manifesting my dream home." Lydia zoomed in. The address number gleamed in reflection on Jade's sunglasses. When she called, Jade texted back, "Auntie, it's just content." You know how the algorithm works. But content didn't know the security code to Lydia's gate. A week later, Evelyn noticed a missing spare key. The only recent visitor? A plumber Darren had recommended. Lydia's stomach twisted. Then Mona invited her to brunch pearls, smiles, and manipulation. "You should think about restructuring your trust," Mona said gently. "Spread things out. The next generation needs room to breathe." Lydia smiled tight. "Whose idea was that? Just family talk. Jade and Darren worry about you living alone." By the time Lydia returned home, the silence in her house felt wrong. She checked every lock, every room. The scent of jasmine from her porch candles felt like a memory of safety, not the real thing. "Someone's testing the locks," she whispered, "and they already know which key fits." The night of the break-in was only the climax of a story that had been writing itself in invisible ink. The woman with the clipboard introduced herself as Celeste Harper, a mobile notary. She claimed to verify a quitclaim deed transferring Lydia's property to Seven Pines Holdings, LLC. On her tablet glowed a digital file, Lydia's name, Lydia's address, and Lydia's forged signature. Celeste frowned. "This isn't my seal. Someone used another notary's credentials. Whoever did this had access to your trust records." Lydia felt her breath catch. "How would they get that?" "Someone inside your circle," Celeste said quietly. The next morning, proof arrived. Mr. Coleman, her nosy but loyal neighbor, sent ring footage. Darren sneaking through Lydia's backyard 2 days earlier, entering her keypad code, leaving with a small pouch. Then came the letter from a bank Lydia never used. "Congratulations, your home equity line of credit has been pre-approved for $480,000. That wasn't coincidence. That was theft wearing paperwork. Even the neighbor's child mentioned Jade filming a house tour in Lydia's backyard days before the incident. The puzzle was clear now. Jade, Darren, and someone else had forged Lydia's identity to sell her home, steal her equity, and erase her name from her own life. If you've ever trusted the wrong person, type yes in the comments. Because Lydia Parker was about to discover that betrayal doesn't knock it, uses your key. By morning, the name Seven Pines Holdings, LLC glowed like a curse on Lydia's computer screen. Priya, her attorney friend, called with the kind of voice people use at funerals. "It's a shell company," she said. "Registered 6 weeks ago. Nevada address. But the money trail leads here to a Fulton County credit union." Lydia gripped the edge of her desk. "So someone near me is behind this? Most likely someone who knows your legal structure, your trust, your living will." "This isn't random." Lydia's stomach turned. "Inside knowledge." When she hung up, she dialed Mona. Her sister answered with fake sweetness. "Lydia, I heard about that mess at your place. Do you know anything about Seven Pines Holdings?" Lydia asked. Silence. Then a laugh, smooth as glass. "You really think I'd steal from you? My own sister? I think someone close to me would." "Well, maybe your paranoia is the problem," Mona snapped and hung up. An hour later, Lydia opened Instagram. Jade was live again, standing in front of an empty living room that looked horrifyingly familiar. "Big changes coming," she purred to her followers. "Sometimes God closes one door and opens yours." The comment screamed, "New home blessed." Lydia typed from a fake account, "That house looks familiar." Seconds later, Jade read it, smirked, and replied with a winking emoji. The chill that ran through Lydia wasn't anger, it was awakening. That night, her HOA president, Whitaker, texted, "Mrs. Parker, just checking, are you hosting an estate sale this Saturday?" Flyers are all over the neighborhood. The picture attached showed her address printed beneath the words, "Estate sale, cash only, luxury furnishings." Her hands shook. Estate sale meant death or disaster. She typed back, "No sale. Call the police if you see that truck again." The house, once her fortress, now felt like a stranger's stage. Every shadow, every creak whispered conspiracy. When Evelyn nervously admitted that weeks earlier she'd let Camille Price, an old accountant friend of Lydia's late husband, into the house just for a quick restroom break, Lydia's heart stopped. Camille, the same woman who'd been caught embezzling from one of Charles's charities years ago, and that was the week the spare key disappeared. By the next afternoon, Priya had more news. "Lyd, it all begins with Camille. She signed off as your consultant of record using an audio clip of you saying, 'I'll sell the house.' She spliced it from a fundraiser dinner you two attended." Lydia remembered that night, too much wine, too many laughs, and Camille leaning close, murmuring, "You should make your assets work for you." "I joked," Lydia whispered. "I said maybe I'll sell the house and live in my office." "She recorded me?" "Yes." "And used it as consent." Lydia called Camille immediately. Camille answered with that same syrupy confidence. Oh, Lydia, I was just thinking of you. You forged my consent, Lydia hissed. You built this scam. Fraud? Don't be dramatic, Camille said, voice dripping with smugness. You agreed in spirit. Jade just wanted to protect the family wealth. Seven Pines belongs to her, you know. You're lying. I wish I were. She's the beneficial owner. I only helped her set up the company. You should be proud, family legacy and all. Lydia's pulse roared in her ears. You think truth is negotiable? Camille chuckled. Technically, yes. You gave us permission, you just don't remember it. Lydia hung up before her rage turned verbal. She drove straight to Nia's school. In the parking lot, she told her daughter-in-law everything. Camille, Jade, Seven Pines. Before Lydia could finish, Nia's phone buzzed. She answered, pale. Elliot? Her brother? Her face drained of color. You what? You processed a HELOC application for Seven Pines? That's my mother-in-law's address. She hung up, shaking. He said Camille's consultant papers looked legit. The system listed Jade Morrison as the account contact. Lydia's world cracked open. Jade, her goddaughter, the girl who'd called her Auntie Rain and braided her hair at Charles's funeral, had sold her out. She didn't think she was stealing, Nia whispered. Lydia's voice turned cold. Don't call theft love. By evening, Lydia's home looked like a war room, papers, deeds, screenshots covering the table. Priya stood beside her, grim. It's worse than we thought, she said. Camille pulled your old notarized signature from Charles's charity archives. Darius forged the quitclaim, Jade's name fronts the LLC, and the goal was to flip the deed to a real estate fund before you even knew. Lydia's eyes burned. They weren't just stealing money. They were rewriting my life. Priya nodded. We can stop it, but you have to stay calm. They're counting on your anger. That night, Lydia opened the cedar box that held Charles's letters, his handwriting still smelling faintly of cedar and ink. One note read, when people want what you have, they'll start by borrowing your confidence. Guard that as fiercely as your money. Her hands trembled. He'd warned her years ago. Under the letters, she found a hidden envelope, bank transfers from Charles to Camille Price, marked consulting. A decade of payments. Camille's smug words echoed. That house was as much my work as his. Lydia felt the ground tilt beneath her feet. How deep does this go? She whispered. The next day, Camille called again, calm and venomous. Sign the confirmation and walk away, Lydia. Be smart. After all, part of that house was built with my help. Don't pretend you didn't know. You're lying, Lydia said. Camille laughed. Am I? Check your husband's ledgers. 10 years of my name, sweetheart. Maybe this house was never fully yours. Lydia hung up, fury turning to crystal clarity. You think I'm broken, she murmured, staring at her reflection. You're about to find out how dangerous healed looks. That evening, Darius had the arrogance to show up in her driveway. Michael arrived moments later, rage in his voice. You forged her name, Darius smirked. There's no proof. Then a voice cut through the tension. Celeste, the notary, stepping forward from her car. Actually, there is. She handed a folder to Michael. I recorded the logs and payment trail. The transaction leads back to Darius Morrison. Police lights flared once more across Lydia's porch. As Darius blustered, Marcus muttered, What now, Mom? Lydia's gaze never wavered. Now we let the truth do the hitting. Because sometimes revenge doesn't need fists, it just needs paperwork sharpened to a blade. The next morning, Lydia woke before dawn. The house was still, the air cool against her skin. She brewed her coffee, poured it black, and spread the evidence across her dining table. Deeds, loan papers, screenshots, Celeste's notary logs, even Camille's smud texts. If they wanted a war, she'd give them one, but on her battlefield. Priya arrived with a folder under her arm. You ready? As I'll ever be, Lydia said. They built the plan in 3 clean layers. Layer 1, the legal trap. First came the affidavit of fraud, signed, notarized, and time-stamped. It triggered automatic alerts to the DA and froze all transactions tied to Seven Pines Holdings. Next, they filed a lease pendens notice, a glowing red flag that locked the title of Lydia's home from any sale or transfer. Priya smirked. Anyone who touches this property now is radioactive. Then came the call to the credit union. The fraud department flagged the HELOC Darren had pushed through. Elliot, guilt-ridden and pale, offered full testimony, confirming that Camille had submitted falsified homeowner consent. The bank immediately froze the loan and turned over their logs. Good, Lydia said, eyes cold. That's one rope off the noose. Layer 2, the psychological stage. Lydia knew Camille's weakness: ego. She drafted a neighborhood email, Community Safety Night, protecting our homes from modern scams and title fraud, hosted by Mrs. Lydia Parker, Thursday 7 p.m. Refreshments served Squitz Whitaker from the HOA. E. Ruth from church. Mr. Coleman, even Celeste. And of course, Camille, Jade, and Darius. Lydia sent the invitation with a sweet note, "Your family. I'd love your support." Camille would never skip a chance to flaunt her intelligence. Jade would come for the optics. Darius for the power trip. But Lydia wasn't hosting a safety meeting. She was setting a stage, Layer 3, the human test. The night before the event, Lydia wrote one last message to Jade. "My dear girl, you have one chance to fix this. Walk away. Tell the truth, or stand beside them when the truth hits. Your choice." No threats, no anger, just a door left open. Meanwhile, Priya set up a trap of her own. She called Darius, pretending to be an investor. "I saw the Willow Trace listing," she said in her crisp corporate tone. "We can close in 72 hours if you show proof of ownership." Darius, too greedy to think, agreed. They met at a downtown hotel. Priya recorded everything as he bragged, "My aunt already signed. We'll flip it in a week." Easy money. That one sentence was enough to burn him legally alive. Combined with Celeste's testimony, the deed forgeries, and Jade's own videos, Lydia now held a hand of pure aces. Thursday evening arrived. Her living room glowed, lamps soft, cookies on trays, tea pitchers sweating under candlelight. You'd think it was another of Lydia's elegant events. Only the tension humming beneath the walls told a different story. Neighbors filled the seats, Mr. Mean probably to the pseudo-simony. Coleman whispered to Ruth. Nia greeted guests with a polite smile. Michael stood watch near the door like a sentinel. And then they arrived. Camille in pearls and arrogance, Darius in designer smugness, Jade in satin and shame. "Lydia," Camille cooed, brushing her cheek in mock affection. "You didn't tell me this would be such a crowd." "You know me," Lydia replied sweetly. "I like an audience." At exactly 7, Priya began. "Tonight we're discussing how criminals steal homes without breaking in." Slides appeared on the projector. "When paper lies." Camille shifted in her seat. Darius smirked. Jade fidgeted with her phone. "Sometimes," Priya said, "it starts with a forged notary record. Sometimes a fake LLC. And the victims? Always people who trusted too much." Gasps rippled through the room. Camille crossed her legs tighter. Then Priya gestured to Celeste. "I was hired online to verify a deed," Celeste said, voice steady. "Everything looked normal until I met the homeowner, Mrs. Parker. That's when I realized the signature was forged. The seal was fake. So I refused to finalize it." The murmurs grew louder. Whitaker whispered, "That's how they almost stole her house?" Priya nodded. "And sometimes," she added, "we find video proof." The lights dimmed. Hotel footage filled the screen. Darius leaning back, laughing to the hidden camera. "My aunt already signed." Easy money. Silence fell like a curtain. Darius jumped up, shouting, "This is invasion of privacy." 2 men at the back stood calmly. Fulton County DA's office, one said, flashing his badge. Mr. Morrison, Miss Price. We'd like you to come with us, Camille sputtered. You set us up. Lydia smiled faintly. You invited yourself. Jade dropped her phone, sobbing. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I was drowning in debt. He said it was just business. Lydia knelt in front of her niece, voice gentle but firm. Business doesn't steal family. But you have one chance left. Tell the truth. Cooperate, and I'll ask for leniency. Lie again, and you'll drown alone. Jade nodded through tears. The DA led Camille and Darius out, their perfume and bravado trailing behind them like smoke. Lydia turned to the crowd. Her voice was calm, powerful. Love doesn't mean looking away. Family doesn't mean immunity. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. The room erupted in applause. Michael wrapped his arm around her shoulders. You did it, Mom. No, Lydia said softly. The truth did. 2 weeks later, the house smelled of cinnamon and sunlight. Nia hummed while stirring potato salad for church. Michael installed a new smart lock. No more keys, he said. Just fingerprints. Good, Lydia smiled. This house deserves boundaries. An email came from the HOA. Thank you for hosting the most informative event we've ever had. The board has voted to honor you for civic excellence. She read it aloud. Nia cheered. See, you turned pain into purpose. At church that Sunday, Ruth hugged her. Lydia, we want you to lead a session, faith, finances, and freedom. Lydia smiled. Count me in. Her boutique reopened with a new workshop, strong walls, open hearts, financial defense for women 40+. It sold out in hours. Every scar now had meaning. The stolen money, recovered through restitution, funded scholarships for young women in her community. Even the bank issued a formal apology. For the first time in months, Lydia's name on paper was her own again. One night, as Priya reviewed files, she frowned. Found something else. An email from 2 months before the fraud. Sent from your sister's account to Camille, your full schedule attached. Lydia felt the old ache return. Mona! She called her sister the next morning. Mona arrived puffy-eyed. I didn't mean for this, she cried. I just wanted you to consider selling. Jade was desperate, and you seemed so fine. I thought Camille could talk sense into you. You didn't swing the knife, Lydia said quietly. But you handed them the map. Tears streaked down Mona's face. Tell me how to make it right. Lydia thought for a long time. You'll volunteer at the scholarship fund every week for a year. No inheritance, no shared accounts. Forgiveness must cost something to mean something. Mona nodded, trembling. I understand. That night, Lydia journaled beneath the soft hum of her lamp. Boundaries aren't walls, she wrote. They're doors with locks and keys you choose who to trust with. Outside, the cicadas sang. Inside, peace finally felt real. She looked at the framed photo of her and Charles, smiled faintly and whispered, We're safe now, but she knew safety was never the same as certainty. She turned to the camera for one last moment, her voice steady, eyes fierce. When the people closest to you betray your trust, not out of hate but weakness, what do you do? Forgive them or let consequences teach what love couldn't? Tell me in the comments. And if you've ever rebuilt yourself after betrayal, don't just watch, subscribe. The next story might be yours. Subscribe for more cinematic stories where truth cuts deeper than revenge.